Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes. And just to let you know,
I
because
can't hear
Skype
you.
you can't hear me. Am I muted?
Hold on.
Oh, plug headphones into your mic.
Sometimes. I'm Rebecca,
And I'm Deanna. And we're
the Halfwit Sisters. There we go. Sometimes it sets it up that it comes out of my mic, and it's like, what the hell do you think you're doing?
Can you hear me now though?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay.
I
Awesome.
DJ, I was straight up about to toss my computer across the freaking room. I'm not even about to lie. I was like, I'm sitting there. I was like, why isn't this Skype app on this freaking Surface Pro not working? I was going, okay, what is the name for my Skype profile? And I kept putting in, my gamer tag, every single email I had. I was like, this and this and this. And then it turned out I kept forgetting the number that I always put at the end of my emails. I was getting
You
so
know.
angry. Oh, jeez. Whew.
Oh God. Apparently I did not set myself up to sit comfortably on this couch. Okay.
So there should be a setting on here to record.
I'm already recording.
Oh, great. So, like, just to continue on with the story here, I was just like, all right. So, and then of course it goes, it's like you can use your phone number. So I type in the phone number and it goes, you have an existing account. And I was like, yeah, I know, but what is that account? So it's like you have this. I was like, yeah, I keep typing those in, but it's not. So finally, I get into the whole thing. I even go to the Microsoft website, right? Because I used to work with Microsoft. So I get into the Microsoft website, and it's going, you have to do this. And so I'm sitting there, and I'm doing the little garbly goops at the bottom. I'm like, this is so frustrating, and I can't get into this. Finally, I get in, and I'm using the app on this goddamn Surface, and it's not working. Like you're trying to call me, and I see that I'm missing these calls. I'm like, it's not even coming up that you're calling me. And it's not even popping up on my phone yet. And finally, oh my gosh, finally, I was just like, I'm just gonna go download the app from the interwebs. So that's what I did. I went because the app on the Surface wasn't working. I went and downloaded the app off the interwebs onto the Surface that is a Microsoft product to get it to work. And what's worse is like our family has the whole Microsoft 360 thing, product thing, and we should have the app through there. But no, oh my God. I was getting ready to toss my computer across the room.
Hey Becca, you realize you look like this in your camera? You're at like the bottom of the frame.
That's okay. You can just see my sassy head bobs. There we go. Whew. Whew. It's like, oh, we're just gonna cancel the meeting today because I can't get on this freaking recorder thingy. Oh, jeez.
Yeah,
Life is
if we
tough.
couldn't have done it on here, I'd been like, okay, I'm pulling up Facebook on my computer because my computer has a screen recorder, and for some reason, the screen recorder doesn't want to go on my phone, but I know it will go on my computer.
We're like, it's happening. It's gonna
It's
happen.
happening. It's gonna happen. I don't know how.
So, all right. Well, let's get into it. So we're talking about you and I had this idea to create this villain called Belladonna. All right, and
Yes.
we've already done a, I don't know, hold on, you're super quiet on my computer. Talk a little.
Ba, 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 bam, ba, 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 da, 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 da.
That's a little
Hi,
better.
how you doing? Okay.
Okay. Hopefully there's not any bad feedback when the audio comes back. Um,
Well, we're recording on my screen, so it's okay.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. That there's not any bad feedback. So we had this idea. So let's talk about Belladonna real quick, like where Belladonna came from. Originally, we were on a project together, uh, and it was supposed to be a heel character for this wrestling project that we ended up both walking away from for
Yes.
reasons. We're not going to get into it, but for reasons. And you had recorded a video and you didn't want to lose that work.
I put in so much time into this. Like, it was 2 days of storyboarding and a day of filming, another day of editing. And I was like, that's a lot of work. I got you, my roommate, and Fry, our friend, involved in it. And I was like, it's just a lot of work. I don't want to not have it out there.
Right. And I took a week to like review and write for the character. And then Fry took about maybe like a day to record some lines for you.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of work. I would say about of all like everybody involved, it was maybe 2 weeks worth of work just to do this one video for a character that wasn't going to be used.
Yeah.
So you're like, how can we rescue this character? And so we decided to turn around and make it a villain, because she was going to be what in wrestling the term is heel, um, a heel character. And we're like, okay, let's make it that. And Fry just rattled off a name, Belladonna. And we're like, oh yeah, that's the name. We're gonna go with this. So since then, I think you and I kind of have a little bit of a different thing. But so this is a kind of our beginning of rebuilding the Belladonna mythos, kind of her lexicon. Um, so I like the idea of kind of having her as the ideal villain boss. And we're kind of building that off of like cliches of old villain
Bad guys.
tropes. Yeah, one of our what like you spent what how long how what was one of the things we went eviloverlord.com
Yeah.
has
Which
over what how many like over 100 cliches. If you
I
go and
think,
read the guy's website, I forget what his name is, but if you go and read the guy's website, eviloverlord.com, go and read it right now. He has over 100 something cliches. It was built off of this Deep Space Nine, I think is what he said. It was inspired off of that, and he's like, if I was going to be an evil overlord, these are the things I wouldn't do. And some of them was like my league of villain, my league of minions would not wear visors that you couldn't see through, things like that. Um, and you had spent
Peter Peter and Spotch. I don't know how to pronounce that last name. I pulled it up.
I'm gonna leave that all to you. I'm not even gonna try and pronounce that word. But you had just gone through what the first 100?
Yeah, I got through the first 100, and I didn't do like prompts for all of them, but I did read through the first 100, and he has two more lists on there because it was like he has it structured as the 100 top things I will do as an evil overlord, and then he has like honorable mentions in two other lists.
Mm-hmm. And
Um,
that's from people who sent him in, like, oh yeah, hey, add this to your list. I think he had one
yeah,
guy come in. It no longer exists. I tried to look it up. I couldn't find it. But things you shouldn't do if you were like a villain in a James Bond movie.
yeah.
Like, don't let the lady have the last kiss, or don't give the guy a last request, or things like that. We're thinking, you're thinking of TikTok. So doing some things on TikTok with Belladonna. Kind of take us through like your thought process on some of that.
So it was kind of a I was like scrolling through on TikTok because that's what I do a lot of. Just a lot of that. And I noticed like a lot of the things were like POVs on that's what a lot of mine are, POVs and stuff like that. And I really enjoyed that. And then I noticed like people were like making videos in reply to comments and like doing all these things. It was like this would be fun to use with Belladonna and like have the viewer be the hench person, making decisions and building out that tree.
Okay.
In practice, it doesn't quite work as well as I would have hoped.
Right, because we found out the comments, you can't link comments and
Yeah, you can't pin the comment to the top. So if like the video goes viral and you get a whole bunch of comments, it could get buried. But it was still a fun idea, and there are other platforms like YouTube where you could do this. And I wanted to make sure that I had more than just the one video for her and bring you in on the project because Lord knows I have a hard time writing things.
yeah, some of the projects we've worked on together have been your Christmas one,
Yes.
right? Your Christmas one, the hotline for the Halloween.
We worked on Naughty Appeals Department, which was my first holiday short,
Nadia Post Department, how may I help you?
where I
Mm-hmm.
was a elf. And we worked the next year on Spooks and Ghouls Hotline, which was the Halloween version of it,
Spooks and Ghouls Hotline, how may I help you?
where I was a witch giving advice to callers in to help me edit those, which was a lot of fun because those were much like TikTok before I realized TikTok was a thing.
Well, to be honest, like just the like TikTok wasn't a thing. It was Musically before it became TikTok,
Yeah.
right? For those that don't know, before TikTok exists, it was called Musically, like music.ly, and it existed as kind of a platform where you would do what do they call it? Karaoke. Where you do a little bit of karaoke, and at some point you could do duets with another person on it, and so that exists when they slowly transitioned over TikTok. That's where that continued to come from. So if you didn't know it existed before, that's why they changed it to a much more easier name to know, and then it caught on real big with the younger demographic. So you're talking, when we say younger demographic, we're talking about teens between the ages of like 15 to 18, and then of course younger millennials between the ages of 20 and then up to about 30.
I know there's like a whole big controversy with TikTok right now, which is
We're not going to get into that.
not not a talking topic today.
But they kind of borrow from the same idea that Instagram and well now Facebook kind of has is the stories, right? And those are really popular, and that's mostly because it's just 10 seconds clips. And even before that, what really kicked that off and showed that that is a viable medium is Vine, right? And the only reason why Vine didn't last as long is because it got bought out by Twitter. And then Twitter was like, yeah, I'm not going to do anything with this. And the only reason why Snapchat isn't doing as well as it used to is because Snapchat isn't really listening to, or at the time, and when I was learning about it, Snapchat was on kind of an upward trend, and it was doing well, and then it made a series of UI changes and stopped listening to its user base and has since trended downwards.
Well, so funny enough about Snapchat is I actually have a stock in Snapchat because
A what?
I was able a stock, like I bought stock in Snapchat.
I thought you said I have a stalking Snapchat. I was like, who are you stalking? Like, hey, now we might need to talk about mental health here.
No, so I bought one on the recommendation of one of my colleagues, and it's actually one of the ones that have been making me money pretty steadily. Not a lot because I only have one stock. And the reason it's going back up actually now is because they started doing news. So if you go into your Discover page, you can start getting news, and it's like a quick, 10-second blurb about the headlines, and then you can follow that into a bigger article. So a lot of younger generation are using that to get their news and learning more and getting more up to date on current events in a fashion that is easier for them to connect with, because it's so quick. They're not sitting there watching an hour of news every night. They're getting 10 seconds throughout the day, all of this stuff, which is pretty cool.
Actually, this goes back to something. I know we're sidetracking so far from what we originally started our thing from, but this goes back to something you and I were talking about, because right now you're working on a monologue. And we're talking about how your views, you have to catch somebody in the first 9 seconds.
Yeah.
Right? And so this is kind of why you're having to do that. Now you're kind of seeing where this trend is coming from and why you have to catch somebody within that first 9 seconds, get that first hook in. So thanks, Snapchat, for making our lives hard on trying to catch people the first 9 seconds.
But it is, I kind of like that in it forces you to make sure that those first 9 seconds have your hook, and then you can keep going. I started taking this film class, and they have a Facebook group, and I keep like seeing all these people post, and I'm like, I'm bored in the next 9 seconds. I don't want to continue watching. And I think that's a trend that a lot of advertisement is going to go in, is they need to make sure that they're getting everyone all their information and their hook in those first 9-10 seconds.
Have you heard of Quib? Is it Quib? Something like that. It's the new platform for like...
TikTok did not help its release at all because it was already a thing. But yeah,
Quib, but
a lot of people...
Specifically for celebrity, right?
I haven't looked at it because, like I said, I was watching TikTok, but it's supposedly, a lot of celebrities are making content on there, and it's like higher production things, and I know there's like a game show and all these things on there. I've been meaning to look into it and see what it is.
That's essentially what it is. It's just higher it's like a Facebook video now, on where they're just doing, or Facebook Watch, Facebook TV, Facebook Watch. I don't know anymore. There's so many products out there. But that's all it is. It's like a small serial content that's being produced for people to view. Anyways, okay. We got so far out, let's drag our asses back over. back to Belladonna.
Thank you for coming to our rant. Now to go back to your normally scheduled program.
Yeah, but it also kind of is just like why we're making the decisions we're making, and how our brains are like processing and looking at the world around us, and why we're going into where we're going. So we decided if we bring up your doc, right, on what, because we were talking about this a couple weeks ago, and if we bring up your doc, we broke it down into a couple of ways we wanted to start bringing, kind of building up. We have TikTok, we have YouTube, right? And so TikTok, I see that as kind of like how we're just kind of introducing her into certain things, using kind of the eviloverlord.com stuff as an inspiration for some of those videos. And then the YouTube is where we wanted to do choose your own adventures. And for the first one, we wanted it to be kind of like her first heist, right? And for the player or the person, for the player, we wanted them to be like her first henchman that helps her plan her first heist. So we have a couple of things. We're thinking what, like 2 or 3 branches at most, really?
Yeah, not going too far because it's the first time, and it's this kind of like that learning curve of how does this work and how do I build this on the back end.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want it to get too complicated because if the more complicated it gets, the more moving parts I have to keep track of, and I might lose something.
Well, the other thing, the reason why we're going with YouTube specifically and not another platform is because it has the end cards that you can do. And I think they have the end cards available on mobile as well, right? I know definitely on PC, but I'll have to double check on mobile. I think they now have added it so that if you're watching via mobile, you're able to select one of those videos. If not, that's another thing that we have to look into on how to like get through that. But the idea, one thing, if like our viewers are curious, what's a good example of doing a choose your own adventure via YouTube? There are a lot on YouTube that kind of already do this, but one of the earlier ones that I saw was like a date with Markiplier. That was like a couple years ago, but he did one like that. I'm not sure if it still exists, but a date with Markiplier was one.
I saw he was Draw with Jazz at the time, is now just Jazza do one with the Jabberwocky. And must have taken forever because it was drawn. And basically you got to choose how the Jabberwocky looked at the end.
Yeah.
And I also saw one, I wanted to say Boy in the Band? The guy with the long hair and the orange stripe?
Yeah.
He was also a part of one that I had seen.
Yeah. So we're choosing YouTube because of the specific parts where we can put up 2 end cards. You can click and it would take it through. So virtually all of the videos besides the first one will be hidden. And then you just click whichever and it'll take you down whatever the
branch.
The branch is. Yes, I was like, whatever the tree is, the branch is the right word. So we have like success and failure is kind of how we've broken it up. So it only has 2 endings so far. That's where we're going. So that's not too bad.
I mean, Becca, if you scroll down to page 3 on there, you can see I did branch out into like another possible ending. But yeah, as far as like the big overall, there's just like the successful heist and the failure of it.
Right. I think the biggest difficulty besides just trying to get it, up is the amount of filming. The amount of filming that's going to be going into it, because even though we're talking about keeping the videos down between 3, like minimum 3 to maximum 10 minutes, right? There's still a lot of filming that's going to be going into it. So we're looking at every single video. We're like, here's what the setup is. Here's how we're storyboarding it. Then here's the filming.
Yeah.
And now we're editing. Now we're uploading. Now we got to make sure we have the cards up. And we got to make sure we have those videos also done and up. And it's only like you and me really doing this stuff. And that's a lot of work just for 2 people. And
yeah,
let's be honest, I don't really know how to edit video. and I'm gonna have to be learning a little bit of that as well, just so that we can get it done. And we don't even have a hard date, even though that's something we definitely need to be getting in there. All right. And in between all of this, we still want to be getting out TikTok videos of Belladonna, right?
Yeah.
Because we want
it to be like the last time we have like a TikTok Belladonna video, it can be like the go over to our YouTube channel to start the heist or whatever.
Well, those TikTok videos are, so for those that don't know, kind of like a background on like a little bit of background on both of us is we have a little bit of marketing experience behind each of us. Like DJ does a little bit of like brand ambassading, and I do a little bit of digital marketing and SEO, or search engine optimization, if I have to really get down to the nitty gritty of it. And so when we look at like debuting products, which is essentially what this is, right? You have to break it down to like, how are you going to build attention to something to get people to go to it, right? So when we're talking about doing these TikTok videos, it's kind of two things. Yes, they're fun things to do, but it's also to gain attention, to point back towards the YouTube series or the Choose Your Own Adventure series for as well. So while we're introducing this character and saying, hey, look how fun and how cool this character is, we're also doing it with the knowledge of saying, by the way, be ready. We're gonna have you're gonna get an opportunity to help Belladonna plan her first heist, right? So that's why it's like, yes, we're doing this massive amount of work, and we're adding this stuff on top because it is needed in order to draw attention to what will eventually be, or it's setting the stage to what is eventually the YouTube series.
Yeah.
DJ's like, yeah.
Yeah. I'm just like, the amount of work that I'm like looking into the future, I'm like seeing, I'm like, there's so much work that's going to happen, and I'm super excited for it. Do not get me wrong, but I'm also like nervous about it because it's just there's a lot there that's going to go into this.
Right, and I just, when we're talking about these kinds of things and people are going on, it's like a lot of times people don't realize like how much work goes into even a simple idea, right? And so why are we doing these kinds of videos right now? Specifically because we want to, one, document like our process, but also show the amount of work that goes into it. Like we just talked about why we chose TikTok and YouTube, and how we've been keeping up with all of the different trends and changes in social media, because you have to. It's not just like, oh, well, we thought it was neat. Like, yes, that's part of it, but here's this big thing in the background.
Yeah. And it's kind of one of those things, you have to keep on top of what the trends are and how people are consuming media now, especially with social media, because it's so rapidly developing and it changes the landscape of marketing in general. There are companies that I've worked for that I'm like, I don't get why you're still doing this, because research and history has proven that this isn't effective anymore. This isn't how you get your message out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So dragging it back to Belladonna specifically, and why we're choosing these different ways of going about our thing, right? So part of the quickest thing for us to do are the TikTok videos, right? So that's why we look at these quick minute videos to do. That's why we pulled out some of these prompts from eviloverlord.com to kind of just give us inspiration on where we want to go with some of her character development. I personally like the idea of her being like the ideal villain boss, right? Kind of like Because when I when I say ideal villain boss, like one of the things that one of the big lines in Evil Overlord, the website talks about, it's like, I will have a comprehensive life insurance policy and health insurance policy. Like that was one of like, I was like, if my evil villain, if my boss, even though they're like a super evil villain, has like health insurance, you're heck yeah.
Good pay, benefits, vacation. I'm there.
Right? Like, oh yeah. But then you think about back to it and you're like, hey, you just go back to like all of the like MCU and DC universes and you're like, why are all these people working for like the Joker and like Doctor Doom and well, like, why? Why are these people working for them? They're and then you think of like even I watched recently Spider-Man Homecoming, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, why are people working? I think Spider-Man Homecoming might be like a really good example of this, because of is it Michael Keaton who plays Vulture?
Yeah.
Right? If you think about it, he's like he makes sure to take care of his people. He has very clear rules. He makes sure to take care of his people. He takes care of his family, right? And you think about it, yeah, he's a bad guy, but he provides, right? Like, if I
He's
had
a bad
boss,
guy, but he's not a bad guy.
right, he provides. Like he gives, and so when you think about it in that term, you're like, wow. And then you look back at like the Kingpin, go back to like the Spider-Verse, right? And you're going the Kingpin, and he's got all of these scientists that are helping build these machines. Like they're not there working by threat either. Like none of them look like they're coerced. Like he's threatening them to be in that room to turn on that machine. They all look like they're there to have because they want to be. Right. So clearly these people are doing something right to have all these others working underneath them.
Yeah.
So when you break it down in that regard, I'm like, that's kind of what I want to build underneath Belladonna is this like side of like evil villains you don't really look at and use Belladonna to kind of highlight that stuff.
Yeah.
Thanks, Deej.
You're welcome.
I agree.
Yeah. No, because it was one of those things. It's like she brain went. She is. You had written out the character description of her to be this larger than life who doesn't hate people, just thinks like they could be better if they just wanted to, and just like took command of their own life. So it's like, yeah, she's the evil person, but like she's not gonna kill you just for making a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
So
I see her as kind of creating a safe space for you to discover yourself, right? Like when you look back on it and you think of like what kind of boss do you thrived under if you have a typical 9 to 5 job, right? You look back on it and you think about what kind of boss did you thrive under the most. It's always that boss that encourages you to do your best. Right, not the one that kind of ruled you, right, as if you're less than human, but the boss that wanted you to do your best, reach for this, reach for the top, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I see her doing. So, so we sound like but then at the same time, you have to give her that evil persona. So how do we balance that out with what we want that to be? And that's going to be the interesting, for me at least, an interesting writing there for us to do. And I think a lot of that is going to come out on the larger forms of media that we'll do with her, like with the with the first heist. So while we have this stuff here, I think we should. So we know. So clearly, the adventure, the CYA is going to be. This one is definitely going to take a while, but I think we should kind of go ahead and plan to have maybe a couple TikTok videos go ahead and start having them planned out.
Yeah.
So how many do you think you would like to do? Kind of starting out.
The more we have, the more more prompts we have written out means I can film more in the one day, because if I can get this set up, I have the green screen, so if I need to change the background, I can always do that and have the TikTok be very, very simple in front of the green screen, POV, face-to-face type thing. If we can get a lot of those filmed at once, that frees me up to be able to do everything else that will need to be put on the thing. And with TikTok, I know to be successful on TikTok, you have to be putting out content, about 7 videos every day.
7 videos every day?
Yeah. Minimum. And that's just to start building the fan base and keeping a fan base and getting those followers and likes and views and comments. The more you post, and that's how the TikTok algorithm works, is the more you post, the more likely you are to end up on the For You page.
Okay.
So that's a lot of videos.
Yeah, I don't think we'll get to that point between the two of us now.
No. So if I can get at least even just one video a day, and basically have one day where I sit there and film 20 prompts.
Okay.
That would be easier.
Do we want to do them all as if she's talking to her minions?
I think a good portion of them should be, since the Choose Your Own Adventure is towards the hench person.
What if we did her like the first 10 as really cheesy kind of ads for finding her minions that leads up to the... I guess we really should... Okay, we're kind of doing this backwards. When do we want to have... Let's think of this. Our biggest thing right now is we want to do this CYA. So, choose your own... Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so, but when I say CYA, I also think of, like, cover your own. So, when do we want to have, like, we don't have to have a hard date, but do we want to have it done within the month, or?
I think because we're already at the end of July, let's set for a filming date by mid-August for the TikTok videos, and then later August for the adventure, and try to get it out by maybe Labor Day.
Labor Day. When's Labor Day?
Good
Hey,
question.
Google.
Hold on.
When's Labor Day?
September 7th.
Hey, I got that free, I don't know if you can see it, but I got that free Nest from Google. Yeah.
Yeah. I have a Facebook portal that I won. So
Hmm.
I have Alexa over there. I was watching a show yesterday and they went, "Hey, la la la." And my Alexa answered.
Okay.
Like, oh. So
Well, we really
if
have to.
we
Okay.
yeah, so if we aim for August or September 7th as a launch date for it,
Hmm.
and we get probably gonna need like 2 to 3 days for filming. Thankfully, because my job right now has me waking up so early, my days are super long.
Okay.
I'm like, sure, you want me to film for 12 hours? I'm down. And provided my schedule doesn't change, I have 3 days off a week. So,
Okay. The other thing I'm probably gonna start for us is maybe a Trello, a project management portal. And the reason why I'm doing that is just so that it's a way of keeping track. Normally, people would do a Gantt chart as well, but it's a little bit more than I think we would need. Um, so instead, I'm going to start a Trello, and that just allows us to kind of do a checklist of all the kind of video ideas that we have, and then we can move them down a pipeline as we're kind of like, oh, we're in filming. All right, now we're in editing. Now we're in review. It's in posting. It's done. Right? That way we can go along it, kind of thing. So I can get that kind of set up here by the end of the week, um, or sooner, provided that I don't go too crazy. And get that done. Oh, I've got way too many emails. But that way, and it's open. I'll send you an invite to that so you can kind of see what it is. Trello is also a pretty easy project management tool, anyways. So you shouldn't be too hard with that, and you don't have to mess with it at all. You can just let me work with it, and just hit me up on Facebook on where. So we use Facebook Messenger, but mostly. But let me know where you're at on whatever
okay.
thing is there. Let's see. So we said that we want this kind of a loose one to be in September, right?
Yeah.
I'm trying the themes kind of leading up to that, because I want the TikToks to have a theme leading up to that, because I think it would be weird if we have her talking about clear violet, like if we have her talking about why she has why they let's say it's the one about capturing the nemesis, and she's
Yeah.
like, we can't what like why didn't you kill him? Why did you bring him all the way back here? You should have just killed him when you had him, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And you don't even know who the first nemesis is, because we haven't done that first one yet, right? So that wouldn't be something that we'd do. So I think a lot
And
of the
here's and it, just because it came to mind, why don't we have some of those TikToks be of like her deciding not to be the henchman and becoming her own villain? So we have kind of the story from, you know what, if I was in charge, this kind of thing.
like us going back to our conversation, her being underneath a bad boss.
Okay, yeah. Um, and so we can, in 20 videos that are a minute long, we can't, I mean, that's a 20-minute story right there that we can build from bad boss to boss aspect.
Hashtag. Hashtag boss ass bitch. I'm trying to like think of how to word that so it doesn't lose meaning on my because makes no sense. Okay. So the first videos are pretty much her origin story.
Yeah.
And it's from henchman to villain. And that leaves one where we could have her being in jail.
Yeah.
Okay, one of them being in jail. So I think we brainstorm 20 videos of like really crappy boss things. One being in jail. And then that last video just being, I'm striking out on my own. Okay, yeah, okay.
And that's prompts we can find too, is what made a bad boss. So like never getting a break, making us work through breaks, and I mean, there's tons of stories about bad bosses, and I'm sure there's a list somewhere.
Can even look at like, well, we can definitely go to like Reddit for some things too. I like to go to that pro revenge or nuclear Reddit, nuclear revenge. I don't work here, lady. Karens. You know, stuff like that. Even take from our own life.
Another thing we might want to make sure we do is, especially for the TikTok, because it's something I wish I would have thought of during the ART3 series, is a hashtag that's kind of almost exclusive to that, as much as you can make a hashtag exclusive. But like that way, if someone's watching it, they can hit on that hashtag and see the other videos that are on there.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Hashtag that represents the whole series.
Yeah. Because as fun as hashtag from a bad boss to a badass bitch is, it's kind of wordy. But we need to brainstorm a hashtag as well.
Another question. How often do you want to do, because these are kind of like meetings, how often do you want to do these kinds of meetings?
I mean, we can set them up.
I'm not gonna lie. If for me, I like once a week meetings. I enjoy them.
Yeah. I was gonna say we can set it up for every Tuesday.
Yeah, that sounds good.
It's only 12 o'clock.
For you, yeah.
I thought it was like 3. This is what I mean by long ass days.
And are you gonna so here's another question for you. What are you doing with these recordings? Are you just gonna keep them and then release them, or are you gonna be releasing them same day or later at the end of the week, or what?
No, so I'll have a day or two where I record a big batch. That way I can record all of it.
No,
on my phone or on a camera, and then what do you
DJ,
mean?
I'm talking about this.
Oh,
we're doing right now.
This video. I was like, what are you talking about? Like, right now I'm gonna hold on to them. And maybe. So I'm okay. To take it back one notch. So I'm thinking if we can get all the prompts and stuff set up so that I can film on the 10th, 11th, or 12th and start doing the TikTok releases on the 16th, have 20 to release over those next 20 days, and then choose your own on the 7th, I can start posting these videos that from the 16th. So the first, like this video would go out on the 18th. And so next week's video would go on the 27th. So we hold on to them for 3 weeks. because that's 3 weeks from now.
Let me go back. All right. I'm leaving that up to your discretion.
Because
Right.
we could do that, or if we end up getting stuff that would be like spoilerly, we can just release them over, like the adventure goes out on the 7th. We can start releasing them that next week.
Whatever. And as we're doing these, if you feel like they're trending in a certain direction, you're like, you know what? Let's just start releasing them. That's also up to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, quick note from editing, Deanna here. I just cut out like a minute of us coming in Holly and giving each other assignments, so now to continue.
And then, so the problem with doing branching narrative, there's not any really great programs out there that allow you to do it besides maybe Twine. Twine is a free program to use to do that. And we can kind of do that as a prototype if you want to do that. Twine is a text program you can use to do choose your own adventures text style.
Okay.
So we can use that to kind of prototype, and then we can also kind of train our logic through that. Or we can just use Excel or Google Sheets.
Which is how I did the, I don't know if you looked at it, on page 3.
I did.
On the Google Doc. That's how I used Excel to build that.
Yeah, I did. I figured that's not exactly how I would have built that, but yes.
That's how my mind works, okay?
It's not exactly how you build it either. But
I don't know how to build it.
I know you still did better than what somebody else would have done. So, I wasn't upset. I was like, I get what she was trying to do here. But maybe Twine as a prototype.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna try and start pulling, I'll try and get like a lazy script together for you. And we can start some of that.
Yeah.
Okay. So next Tuesday I have a few things to get to. This is probably my biggest ones. These are my biggest ones. Here. Alrighty. Alright. And then, I guess we'll just try to figure out a hashtag. Maybe we'll ask Fry if he can think of a hashtag.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll also we'll message Fry for that, but I'll also brainstorm some, and I'll also brainstorm and search for like stories and lists of like bad boss traits that we can try and pull prompts from.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. What makes a terrible boss is probably not bad. Terrible boss is probably what you're going to want to use as your term search. Let me write that down. Terrible boss. What makes a terrible boss? What makes a... You know what might be fun? If you source that out to your friends. Yo, tell me a story about some terrible bosses you've had. And say, hey, look, I'm working on a video project, and I'd love to know some terrible bosses you've had. Or tell me some traits of terrible bosses you have. Got stories? Even better. I just put, what makes a terrible? And then I put what makes a terrible bass. I'm winning over here. Jeez. Okay. Alrighty, so we got that stuff. So next Tuesday we'll have some things that we'll pull together. Anything else?
That's all I can think of for now. I know we got off on a pretty big tangent today, but it's okay.
I'm also treating this as sort of like a podcast. It works two ways, where we share ideas, but we're also share like some of our life experiences, because that also helps with the development of where some of the ideas come from. And again, like we said before, like, why did we make a decision to go on this platform versus that platform?
Yeah. So this is a good session. It has been an hour, a little over an hour. So why don't we go ahead and wrap this up?
Yep.
And we will meet back next week, 11 my time, 10 your time. We have some assignments, so that's good.
Alrighty. Talk to you later.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Like and subscribe. See you next week.